edition of the OhNo Wrestling Podcast. I am one of three of your hosts. My name is Owen, also known as the Sharp Break Kid. Along with me tonight is my good friend Duncan, the king of Bong Style. And along with him from the Mile High City, all the way from Denver, Colorado, it's the Maharaja, modern day Maharaja Matthew in the studio, our champion. I'm so reluctant to announce that
and fucking still
your OhNo Wrestling Podcast predictions champion, the modern day Maharaja Matthew. Fuck you, goddammit, you
bringing the charisma, bringing the wins, and bringing the fucking beat down on your candy asses on every single one of these fucking pay-per-views.
Oh, he's getting feisty with it now, Duncan. You hear this?
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Jesus.
You know what bothered?
I thought this was a.
You know what bothered me the most about not only that Matthew won the predictions, but Matthew predicted how he was going to win the predictions as well last week. He predicted that these were the matches that were going to screw us, that he was going to win, and he was right. He thought it was going to be Private Party that screwed him in the end, but it wasn't. It was Private Party that saved his ass.
It was Private Party that screwed me.
It was Private Party that screwed you and myself. I mean, I didn't need much more screwing because I think I pretty much got all of them wrong. Not all of them, but I got a lot of them wrong.
No, you didn't do. I don't know how that managed to happen either, because I felt like we were all fairly consistent. But yeah, like Matthew and I tied, so he still retains. It's okay. It's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine.
It's gonna be fine.
It was the one outlier. I swear. And remember, I was so reluctant after a little bit. I was like, fuck, why did I do that? Because you guys talked me out of it.
Well, that's
actually.
I
went with my gut. You went with your. That's what you do.
You went with your gut.
That's what you do.
And quite frankly, like the big matches for night one of Fyter Fest were basically the Santana Ortiz Private Party match. That was a decider. And then, of course, the Best Friends Kenny Omega Hangman Page match. That was the one for Duncan, which you ended up like doing all right with. That tied it. Didn't it tie it? Yeah, it tied it. You guys are actually tied.
That was the one. Yeah, because I didn't think that was going to happen. I was surprised by that, but you know what? I'm actually pleasantly surprised. I'm kind of glad that I was wrong about that match, and about like Omega and Hangman retaining the titles.
Mm-hmm.
I think last week I talked about it. I was like, I think it's maybe time for them to give it up, and now I don't really feel that way after watching that match. Interestingly enough, I mean, like we've said before, anything can fucking change in wrestling, and you guys know me. I'm kind of like the biggest Kenny Omega fan in the fucking world, biggest mark for him ever. So it's one of those things to ask for him to lose, was a tough thing, but I like
save your championship.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
luckily enough, he did not. But you still saved your championship.
Let's talk a little bit about Fyter Fest. While we're at it, we might as well open the show with a little bit of talk about the first night of Fyter Fest.
There's no dramatic scandals that we need to break into right away. That's going to bum us the fuck out.
Fuck, I know, right? Like do we have a week off? Can we pull back a little bit?
Jesus Christ. Maybe next week though.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe we can have some more depressing shit.
I'm sure. Hey, it's anything goes in this day and age right now. So don't.
Yeah, I don't know. Horror show Extreme Rules is coming up, so that could bring us all down real fucking quick.
And we got
this Sunday?
No, it's
when
next
is
Sunday.
17th? Is it 17th? Something like
19th.
that. 19th. But overall, good night one of Fyter Fest. It felt a little less like a true pay-per-view, but then again, it's bound to with it being on TNT, and I think they're holding back a little bit from what they might have done just because they don't have a live audience. I feel like this probably would have been a real pay-per-view had things have been different. They already talked about it possibly being in the UK. originally. So
was it the one Fyter Fest was the one last year that they did for free on Fight TV, wasn't it?
They did the two. They actually did Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen.
And Fight for the Fallen.
For free on Fight TV. So it kind of, in a weird way, it kind of fits in with what they did last year, because of course last year they didn't have the TV deal that they have this year. So it sort of worked out. I was pleasantly surprised. I thought it was a good show. It wasn't the most amazing show I've ever seen, but I did really enjoy it. I'm gonna go out on a limb on this one here and say that my favorite, we don't have to go into all the matches because that'll take way too long, but my favorite match of the night, and I can't believe I'm saying it, was Sheeta and Penelope Ford. I thought that they were amazing. It maybe because it was just such a surprise to see Penelope Ford deliver on that big of a scale. Like I didn't know that she really had it. I've seen the development in her, but I had no clue that she could be that good. And there were several spots in that match that I was really actually just like blown away by. It was probably my personal match of the night.
I thought it was a really good match. I wouldn't fucking denounce it by any means. I don't think it was my favorite match of the night, but it was it was pretty high paced. I mean, there were some bigger spots in it as well. I like the fact that they got Kip Sabian out of there early, and let them do their thing. I thought that was good. I mean, he obviously came back, but I thought that, it was good to just let them actually wrestle. And to your point, Owen, it allowed Penelope Ford to actually shine and do her thing without Kip Sabian, and actually kind of like establish her in the AEW realm as a wrestler a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I think it was probably needed in AEW's women division to have someone else that was maybe not a credible immediate threat to the belt, but somebody that they can put in feuds, somebody that they can utilize as a good worker and a strong hand in future things to come. And so that's one of the reasons I thought it was actually just one of the more interesting bouts. I'll ask you guys, like, what were your matches of the night if not for that one?
Man, it's tough. They're like, I really liked the tag matches were fucking great.
Well, yeah.
I mean, they're always great, but I don't know. I think that like
Best Friends Kenny Hangman was awesome.
Yeah, that's got to be match of the night for me. Like I'm almost going like Luchasaurus and like that, but that kind of set the tone, I feel like, for the night. So I don't think it was match of the night.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and say Best Friends and say Hangman and Kenny. I will say I loved the entrance with Trent's mom, pulling in the van and and he like gives her the kiss. Then he's walking all hard, and then I think there was like a jib shot. It was like pulling out and panning out, and you can see him turn around and he's like waving to her and stuff. And I don't know if that was his real mom, but I would absolutely love
it is.
It
is his real mom. I don't know if you watched Being the Elite this week.
She's now a member. Yeah, she's now a member of the Dark.
I didn't watch it, so I missed that this week.
She may or may not be a member of the Dark Order now. Like Trent's mom might be a member of the Dark Order.
Trent might be like, "What the fuck?" Yes, I think that. I also think that the Hangman and Best Hangman, like that was just because, not to take anything away from Penelope Ford, because I've seen Penelope Ford wrestle on the Indies, and she's been like criminally undersold since she's joined.
I guess
AEW.
That's it. Maybe that's something that I just didn't really appreciate, that she was on that level. I guess she's so hot that you just assume she's another one of these, attractive women.
Janela's, like she was Joey Janela's. She was the bad girl to the bad boy.
I knew that. I knew that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like this match, when Kip Sabian left at the beginning, allowed her, for the AEW fans, to actually see what she was able to do with people who didn't know what she's done previously in the indies or knew that she actually had that amount of talent in her.
I think that I enjoyed the Penelope Ford Cheetah match more than I did the Cody Hager match, and that's that. Was that a letdown to you guys as much as it was to me?
Dude,
like there was something off about that whole, like every bit of that match from its opening presentation. First off, rock hard right now, rock hard.
Oh my God,
Jake Hager. Got to start there. I mean, the rock hard. Jake Hager.
Do we have to start there?
I mean,
Jesus Christ!
I'm in a bandana
terrible.
and sleeveless shirt, Duncan, with this mustache. I have to start there.
First of all, I don't want to hear any of your shit, sir.
Good point. Good point. But no, like
yeah.
his gear looked shitty. There was something off
his
about
gear looked like he was wearing fucking like biker shorts or like, you know, like, and there was
Dude,
like
it looked like he was wearing his
something.
underwear. It looked like he was wearing the underwear that you would wear underneath a pair of football pants.
He didn't look in shape at all, which is fine because not all wrestlers are in fucking amazing shape.
No, but he was in shape not too long ago.
I also don't. His wife, it's not believable to me, like what she does, like in there, like I just not like.
No, but she's pretty hot. I'll give her.
She's pretty hot. Yeah, no.
Good on Jake Hager. Now I can see why he's so rock hard. Now I get it. Now I get it.
Yeah, she was probably flipping the fucking tip inside right before the entrance.
Yeah.
Also, probably
chub it up a little bit.
Potentially PEDs. That's all I'm saying.
But I don't like anything she does. Just feels so scripted.
Yeah,
she doesn't make it feel like it's in the moment. I know that's not her thing, you know. So I'm not gonna harp too much on it, but I will just say that's my opinion.
And it's a weird finish for it as well. Like I get why they did it, but I legit thought that Hager won for a split second. Like I was actually like on
real quick. Yeah,
I was on Hager's side for a minute. I'm like, oh holy shit, they did something crazy, and I actually kind of got pumped about it. But you know, maybe I'm an idiot for thinking that way. But it did.
No, I think we were all idiots for thinking that way for a minute.
Okay, good. It's not just me then.
No, yeah. it was like Deuce is saying in the chat room is just they tried to do too much MMA stuff, and I can totally see that. It was definitely the styles didn't mesh well enough,
right,
to like make it look like a match that was of championship quality.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I will say a couple of weeks ago I mentioned how I wasn't enjoying. I'd written it down in my notes like a while ago about Cody when he goes to do the cutter off the ropes and things like that, where he's like, it doesn't seem stable. All of those he pulled off flawlessly during that match, though. I will say that, like, they all looked really fucking good. He was stable and balanced. Like, that was one thing I took away and that I really noticed. I don't know if like that's something like you guys are paying attention, but
I think that might be. I think you're right, because I think that might be a case of Cody working with a bigger dude that can take some of those moves in a way that I think maybe he's hesitant to do, on which a lot of AEW, and like think of his past opponents with Darby Allin, like he hasn't really been up against like big dudes. Lance Archer. Wait, no, yeah, that was right. No, am I getting? Yeah. I guess that would be the real only huge big exception to the rule. But it feels like he's been with a lot of smaller guys. So with a guy like Jake Hager, that maybe he knows the style, that he can trust a little bit more in that, he can make him look a little more smooth. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, Cody. I mean, and Cody's not huge, so I guess that makes sense. Like the stature and such, like he could actually, you know,
he looks huge. He looks huge next to half of AEW's roster.
He's not that big. I'll send you the picture of me and Kelsey with him and Brandy from the StarCast meet and greet. He's like, I mean, he's bigger than me because he's got more muscle, but he's not bigger than me. I don't think.
No, he's not taller. He's probably not much taller than myself.
Yeah, my buddy, I don't know how tall he is, but my buddy Zach Blend from high school, he and I went to a bunch of wrestling in high school and stuff. We went to Royal Rumble 2002 together.
That's the one.
Front row there.
You can find Matthew, front row Matthew, Royal Rumble.
I need to do that. I need to go back.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, I will.
Dude, I got long hair, backwards hat, and this is before like phones on camera, so I'm like keep holding up the camera and like taking pictures. I'm yelling at fucking Stone Cold. But anyway, Zach sent me a picture a while ago, and it was before the whole COVID thing. He was at like an Atlanta Hawks game and ran into Cody there and sent me like took a picture with him, and like they could have been bending down or whatever to do a selfie, but like I mean Zach's a like bigger guy, like bigger in stature, not like big, like fat, just like tall, you know, like he's always been like that.
Bulky.
And not like overly. And it just seemed like he's like bigger, like, and made Cody like seem a little smaller.
Which is again, that just makes it so much more interesting. It almost reaffirms my point of how small like some of those guys on the AEW roster are in comparison to like even the WWE roster, right? Like you look at a guy like Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder is about, I think, the same sort of size as Cody, if like all around, if like you take him, right? About there. Cody looks big in comparison to a lot of those guys. Now then you take that's what makes also other dudes that look so much bigger, so you can use it into your advantage in the other way. And you know, I'm pretty sure Brian Cage is like a fairly short fella. Like I think I'm probably taller than Brian Cage, or he's about the same height.
If I wasn't on my phone, I would be looking up all these. But yeah, no,
does he feel way bigger than me? Of course he fucking does, because he's, you know, weighs 3 times.
At least he's taller than Taz. That's the important thing.
Yes.
So Wikipedia says he's 6 foot. Brian Cage.
Brian Cage is 6 foot.
Okay, yeah.
I got him by an inch.
I'm 5'11", so he's got me, but whatever.
I got him by an inch and like less than 80 pounds.
We're also seeing that Kenny is billed at 6 foot, but according to
that's my friend John Lewis. John Lewis of John Lewis Draws Things, basically saying that yes, Kenny is billed as 6, and he had 3 inches
really
on him. So it would make him
really
about
like
3.
5'9".
Yeah,
I could see that, because remember when Duncan, when you and I went to the first, we went to All In. Remember when we were at the first Starcast, and like randomly, I was like, I think that's Kenny over there, you know, and I was like, Golden Lovers right there, and we were like, oh shit, and then we got in line, and we were like 5 or 7 people behind, and we were about to fucking meet them, and then they just like popped through a back door. But I couldn't believe how small Kenny looked in like that close in real life, like 5 or 7 people behind.
Right. Kenny is very short. Joey Ryan was very short. Marty Skrull was very short. We can redact those names if we need to.
Yeah, bleep those.
I'll bleep them out. I'll bleep them out.
Yeah, because you're really good about bleeping out everything.
Yeah, I've done that over the years.
Brody King is
fucking
Brody
giant.
King is a big fucking boy.
Fucking Duncan big and scary.
Yeah, he's like bigger than Duncan big.
Yeah,
like he's got a couple inches on me, and he's got like some girth on me. And
I'll probably never have babies, and he's already eaten them.
Well, and he looks like he's eaten a few babies when he gets in the ring, to be honest.
Just not his own, to be fair.
Yeah.
Hey,
and
speaking
PCO
of this,
is also pretty tall.
No, what you got to say, Matthew?
I was gonna say about redacted names and such.
Yes.
Thought it was interesting during Fyter Fest. They did a Darby Allin promo.
Oh yeah, they did.
Did you guys notice that?
You're right. They absolutely did. I feels like they obviously feel confident enough in the allegations, I suppose, to move forward with being all right and promoting him. So
I mean, that's what I would think. I was just somewhat surprised. I mean, I guess they felt like they didn't need to make a statement or anything like that.
They haven't, have they? AEW,
no,
I don't think about Darby.
I don't think they have. I mean, but they just said, I remember JR said something. He's like, oh, and now this from Darby Allin. And they played that weird video of all the shit he's been posting on Insta and Twitter of like lighting people on fire, skateboarding, and doing backflips and shit. It's like,
I mean, it is
we
like
get
Jackass
it, man. That's
2.0.
what you do.
Cool.
Right. Like, no, I'm like, okay, cool, bro.
Meanwhile, that's almost what WWE's been doing on the same other side with Matt Riddle.
Well, yeah. They're just really waiting for Matt Riddle to they're really waiting for his accuser to either fuck up or for it to just get blown out of proportion. Because from everything I've read on the dirt sheets, right? Admittedly, take it for what you will.
Can we explain to the audience, please, Duncan, if you don't mind, explain to the audience exactly where we are with the Matt Riddle saga when it comes to all this, please?
Oh, man.
Because the last I know was the picture.
If you could speak to it in a riddle, that would be good.
Yeah, that would be good. To tell it in a riddle.
Let me go get my question mark cane, which I do have in the other room. And I'll put on my fucking bat suit and we'll get right on it. So the last thing in the drama of the bro was that they had said that his accuser was crazy, right? And that she was just like she was habitually stalking him. Yeah. Yes, habitually stalking him.
And Matt Riddle's fiance or girlfriend came out in defense of that. Wife. Yes, it came out in defense of that. And then it died down for a few days, and then she came back with because you know how wrestling fans go on Twitter, they just don't stay in their fucking lane, and they decide that they should just perpetually bother fucking people forever, and it's annoying as shit. Yeah. So she was like, okay, look, why then do I have this picture from May 29th of 2019 taken and this picture taken immediately after it? And people are just like, okay, whatever, you can fake the date on a screenshot, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody went to Matt Riddle's Instagram account, went to that day, and it's just like, oh, hey, look, same shirt, same hat. So, maybe it's, I don't know that the allegations, though, as far as I know, this is me being the legal authority for OhNo Wrestling Podcast. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah. As legal counsel, I think that the only thing that he is, because she's just saying that he's cheating on his wife with her. Right. I think that's... And
it's shitty, but not illegal.
Right.
That's so, there is a big difference there.
Like the Corey Graves thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Corey Graves thing. Not illegal. And that's not shitty. That's pissy, but illegal.
I mean,
but not illegal.
Fucking Bray Wyatt, JoJo.
There was that one.
Yeah. Well, the
Alexa Bliss and me. Remember that
me
one?
Too.
Please.
Yeah. And me too.
Please.
Guess we're asking for brothers.
Teresa was okay with it, by the way. My wife, she was totally fine with it. She's like, it's Alexa Bliss. It's fine. It's good.
Yeah. She's like, and that's your one. So
that's your pass. So you're good.
Yeah. You don't get another one ever again. So.
No,
it's a good one.
It's a good one.
I was fine with it.
She'd probably make you listen to pop punk while you fuck her.
I know, it was weird. It was like some 41 and all that.
Yeah.
Like I didn't need that part, but whatever. There was a pig. There was a pig hanging around.
Anyway, going back, Larry Steve was watching you.
Yeah. Licking Owen's foot.
Right. Nibbling at it, just finding truffles in there. This is why we're never going to be taken seriously.
Well, this is why people like us. What were you saying?
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
What were we saying?
But back to our legal counsel.
Yeah, back to legal counsel.
Who did not advise us not to shut the fuck up during any of that.
Nope. That's why you were stupid for having me as legal counsel.
That's true.
Damn it.
God damn it.
If you knew better, you would have somebody who knew better. Yeah, we were talking about, as far as we know, shitty but not illegal.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, there's been a lot of wrestling shitty but not illegal things. There's been a lot of wrestling shitty and illegal things over the years. But as far as we know, it's just dick move. Mm-hmm. You know, same sort of dick move as when Edge started fucking Lita.
And like you said, Matthew, with the Bray JoJo thing to a degree, you know, like
The
that's
Bray JoJo thing for sure. The Corey Graves thing, not as much because he had already been separated from his wife for 6 months.
He had been separated for a while.
So
it was
at that point,
like she kind of started some drama, I think.
Online. Of course she started drama, and it it was one of those things. She wanted to try and kind of ruin him. And look, I am not a Corey Graves fan. We all know this. I think he's a douche nozzle.
I thought you were like tattoo buddies with him, bro.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Well, Duncan rips his shirt across open. It's just Corey Graves.
It's just one big Corey Graves. Fucking just like it's all aspects of Corey Graves and like the stages of his pompadour across my chest.
Like a full moon.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. I have the three Corey Graves and the full moon. Oh my God! Somebody designed that.
Oh God, that's a shirt.
That's a shirt.
Copyright. OhNo Wrestling.
Copyright. Intellectual property.
Yeah.
So that was just shitty, but not illegal.
100%.
The other ones, on the other hand, I will say you haven't seen anything from Marty Scurll on Ring of Honor for the past couple weeks.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean he's guilty. I think a lot of the evidence points to the fact that he did some shit that's fucked up, right?
I think they're clearly keeping a little bit of distance rather, just to see how it kind of blows over or not blows over, and judging from there. And I can't really blame Ring of Honor for doing exactly that. One of the interesting
things, he's also one of the lead booker there.
Yeah, so that's tough too. That's really tough.
So
they need him on multiple different levels. I would assume that he's more than just the on-screen personality of Marty Scurll.
Yes,
he's kind of working behind the scenes. And
the best thing for Ring of Honor right now is the fact that they can't run live shows.
Yeah.
Because they don't have to have they don't have to have a weekly thing where they have to address it or write it off, or they can take their time and kind of let it figure out whatever the fuck it's gonna be. Right? Because at this point we don't know.
It's almost doing them a favor by and you got to figure they're like, oh well, maybe this will all blow over before.
I don't know that they think it'll blow over, but I think that maybe more maybe they have a chance to talk to the victim more. Maybe Marty
they might learn more. They might be able to understand a little bit more about the situation and be able to make a better decision about how to move forward.
Sure. I would like to think that Ring of Honor has they don't go the sleaze route of let's just brush it under the rug. If it needs to be taken care of, they'll take care of it.
Yeah.
And it'll suck. And it'll suck for the elite, and it'll suck for, you know what I mean, AEW at some point. And
we've even seen small things with that with BTE. I mean, they've changed the intro, right? They don't show any of the video game intro with Marty, which they were doing way into AEW, where
they did that for a really long time, and then they altered it to be more so it started off pre AEW and then it morphed into including the AEW stuff. And they just sort of did away with that in the same way that the previous intro on BTE was just there one day and gone the next, and replaced by the 8 or the 16-bit video game.
Much on topic. John Lewis in the chat room is asking, did you see they accidentally promoted Jimmy Havoc? He's like,
that I did not see.
I missed
for a tag match, but it was immediately deleted. No, I don't think any of the three of us saw that. That's really interesting that it was probably probably just a mistake that someone didn't catch wind.
Probably something for Dark or something.
More, I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't think he had anything going for Fyter Fest or anything.
He didn't.
So I would assume it must have been for Dark. And I don't know. That's an interesting.
It was for Fyter.
Oh, was it? Oh shit,
Yeah.
John, please.
Damn.
Give us some information.
I wish I screen capped
don't
it.
we all?
There's been a lot of shit that I wish that I've screen capped over the years in wrestling. Like, oh my God.
Do we talk about the updated card then for Fyter Fest, because clearly things changed since last week's show, and one of the reasons that Duncan got screwed was, I believe, the Moxley match was supposed to happen next week anyway. But now that match has been pushed completely, and yeah, so
but his wife got COVID again and released a cookbook.
Oh,
so there's that.
What? Yeah. She got COVID twice?
Yeah.
No, I think it's.
I think that was the second time. Renee?
No, Renee. It was just still the first time for Renee. Kayla Braxton is the one that had it the second time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So antibodies aren't a thing, by the way. So that.
I don't know that they've taped. Well, they haven't taped Fight for the Fallen. They might have.
No, they haven't. And Tony Khan just tweeted out something that I sent to Gorilla earlier before the show about making an announcement tomorrow that, like, supposedly Taz is going to have.
Yeah.
You sent also tomorrow night at night 2 of the Fyter Fest on AEW Dynamite on TNT, at official Taz and Brian Cage and Mr. GMSI _BK. Why didn't you just fucking tag him? I guess he should get a better name on Twitter.
Brian
he should get
Cage.
Yeah, I know. He should get a better name on Twitter.
It's Mr. Get My Shit In GMSI. Yeah.
The Brian Cage Twitter.
You should still get a better Twitter.
Will
be interviewed by Tony, and Taz will make an announcement that I guarantee will send shockwaves through the world of professional wrestling.
So, I will say Shockmaster to AEW confirmed.
I will say that I loved fucking when Taz cut the promo last week.
It was good.
And he took a fucking jab at WWE, and he said we don't run a sloppy shop.
Talking about their testing, their COVID testing,
and the COVID, and
he was sloppy jalopy that shit been.
Yeah, and he was like, "We know you've been tested. We know you tested negative because we don't run a sloppy shop over here." I'm gonna start using that phrase, sloppy. I'm gonna be like, "You run a fucking sloppy shop."
Yep.
I fucking love that phrase. Actually.
I mean, I'm not sure when they started. It was obviously too late and past the point, but WWE is testing before every taping now, and they're doing actual testing. They're not just doing a temperature screening. So, and
they've only done it under pressure, right?
Of course it's under
virus
pressure.
Forced their hand.
Of course it did. The virus forced everybody's hand. Like, Vince wouldn't have done it otherwise. Now they're fining people if they don't wear masks.
Which is such a weird thing, because now you've got on Raw, you're fining people for not wearing masks, yet you've got the whole crowd out there supporting Raw. And trust me, we'll talk a little bit about Raw in a second, but you've got Nikki Cross coming out into the crowd, but because she's a performer, she's not in the mask.
That was stupid.
Banging on the glass, distracting somebody, and you're not wearing a mask. Then you've also got the Street Profits that come through the crowd, quote unquote.
Yeah.
With no masks on. So I'm not really certain on.
I mean, they're wearing the mask. Obviously, it's just like anything else. Performers wearing masks, and the crowd not. They shouldn't be having the Street Profits come in through the crowd, right? It's not the thing to do, but they're doing it. Oh. So, but it's also it's not the best, but I also, know people that work there that are still tested, literally every day. And it's not the, they're sticking the stick up their
4-inch up their nose.
Yeah.
You know what I think they should be doing? You know how when they blow, instead of pyro, when they do the fog, the air, they shoot it out. That should be disinfectant.
Like CO2 disinfectant.
But it should be Lysol.
It probably is at this point.
It should be.
Dude, I'm in.
Yeah.
Right?
Speaking of all that, well, not really speaking of that, but our friend John Lewis of John Lewis Draws Things, check that out. Friend of the channel here. He says he posted a screenshot, and I think
yeah,
he's
I'm looking
right.
at it right
It's
now.
a Fyter Fest screenshot where it has Wednesday, July 8th, which would of course be tomorrow. And it has FTR and the Young Bucks versus the Butcher and the Blade, who are scheduled in the match, versus the Superbad Squad, which of course is Superbad Kip Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. So that was maybe the original plan for the match before.
And then they got the Lucha Brothers
then they got the Lucha Brothers involved instead. So that's really interesting. I don't know that it changes my opinion on how that match turns out, to be honest with you. I think that I'm still going to go with the underdogs of Butcher and Blade and the Lucha Bros in this one.
I'm really excited for this
Bucks.
match.
Are we going into predictions? Is that what we're doing right now?
I don't know.
We already did.
We already did the
predictions.
predictions.
Well, yeah,
we can reanalyze. We can reanalyze.
Yeah, but the show has now changed, right? So
yeah, we don't have to go through them all again. So we gotta.
There is a new match that has been added, which does change things.
Yes, so we can do that really quick. So I guess all of us right now. We're pretty much the same apart from Lance Archer. I'm going with Joey Janela as my wild card on that one. So I've got Joey beating Lance Archer. We've all got Orange Cassidy versus Jericho, which stands to be the main event for the evening now.
See, and that's the thing is like I kind of want to change that.
You want to go with Jericho on that?
Yeah, I want to go with Jericho.
All right, I'll scratch you off. I think this is legal in terms of predictions. We said it would be. So, yeah, all right, you're going with Chris Jericho. Matthew, you going to stay with Cassidy, or are you going with Jericho yourself?
You know, this is a tough one just because it's a fucking real tough one just because
it is.
If you look at Inner Circle, everyone in Inner Circle lost.
Yeah.
On night one of Fyter Fest.
Absolutely.
And then you had Orange Cassidy flexing real hard on Jericho. Still, at the same time, I think if you're gonna make a star of Orange Cassidy,
now's the time, right?
Now is the time, and Jericho loves a good fucking gimmick and putting a good fucking gimmick over. So I'm gonna stick with fucking Orange Cassidy.
Okay.
That doesn't necessarily mean he's gonna win clean, but he's gonna fucking beat Jericho.
I'm sticking with Orange Cassidy myself.
I think it's gonna be a good match. I just don't think that I think Orange doesn't need the rub as much as people might think he does. He can have a great match with Jericho and he's gonna do just fine. Like that'll be the same thing. If Jericho wins, does not diminish from the showing that Orange puts in.
I can see it both ways on that regard. I don't know that either of them necessarily need to win. So that's why I'm still going to go with Jericho putting over Cassidy in this particular situation.
And I think it's going to give because it's so much of a main event type match. Hopefully it is, the main event. I mean, Deuce is saying that too. I agree. I hope it is. But when Orange Cassidy fucking wrestles and gets in the fucking flow and gets in the mix, he's fucking really good.
Yeah, man.
And
absolutely.
I think that that's something that people love the gimmick, and the gimmick is hyped, and they've seen him pull a couple of spots and do a little bit here and there. But I think there could be something where there is this a lot of people now see. Not just the gimmick, and they see that he's actually
they want to prove he's not just hands in the pockets, that this guy can fucking go. Yeah.
I also think there's a chance Tyson comes.
Oh, that's not a terrible call.
That would also make sense. Set up something for All Out in September because that's their big one. But yeah, I just think I think Jericho's going to catch him with the Judas effect. It might be an out of nowhere thing for Jericho, but I also think that with just given some of the matches that Jericho has had, right? Like all the high rated matches that Jericho has had around the world, I think that if he puts in a great match with Orange Cassidy and Orange Cassidy doesn't win, it makes Orange Cassidy better overall. Is still my thinking behind it.
Yeah, I don't mind. I mean, I definitely get your point. So what is the change of the match? It's the tag team match, correct? Like now they're doing.
Well, now there's
the number one contender
no
match.
Brian Cage,
no Moxley
match.
So now they're changing it with the Private Party versus Hangman Kenny. Is that what they're doing?
Yes, that was. Well, I mean, I don't know that was what they decided to change it with, but
they
are adding.
Yeah,
that.
I felt like I pulled it up earlier too. Do you have it for me, Matthew?
Yeah, I'm pulling it up.
Yeah, cool. Pull that up for me, if you don't mind. I just want to make sure we're right. And yeah, it's interesting. Good old Kyle Deuce of Happy Hour with Johnny and Deuce. He's really excited if Tyson were to come back. It doesn't do a lot for me, to be honest with you, Deuce. Like, it's kind of just there. I mean, like Tyson being Tyson. I mean, I get why it's a big deal, but it's interesting.
Could be how Cassidy wins, though.
Yeah.
Could be how Cassidy wins. You heard Jericho on commentary this past week saying, "Oh, and if Tyson ever shows back up, like that type of shit, like he's like, I'm still waiting for you to come back up." And Orange Cassidy came out when he called out the baddest man in the world.
All
so
good points.
There is a very good way to tie that story in where he comes out and that's where maybe that non-clean win happens, where then like Tyson shows up, distracts Jericho, they get into it, there's a roll up for the fucking pin.
Yep.
Or Tyson remember Jericho's always talked about that punch he took from in WWE and how scared he was to take a punch, even though it's like he was pulling it and stuff like that from Tyson. And he's like, you're standing there fucking Mike Tyson, he's gonna swing, and you're like, fuck, go, and so maybe there's a second one of those, and the ref isn't looking, and Cassidy rolls him up, and is then Tyson kind of like passes off that baddest man onto Cassidy in AEW.
Yeah, no, that's
cool.
That's cool. I dig it. I was just saying, like, I didn't really appreciate like the mainstream love that I guess a lot of people do tend to feel for Mike Tyson.
Dude, Tyson is unreal when it comes to the actual drawing power that he used to, and for the most part still has. Like Mike Tyson is a name that will, like, if you were alive in the 90s, right?
Yeah.
Like, Mike Tyson, you knew Mike Tyson, and that Mike Tyson is still a bad motherfucker. Like, if you watch his training videos from recently,
I've seen him.
That shit is terrifying.
Yeah.
Like,
I still think him as Pigeon Mike Tyson. I still think it's Pigeon Man a lot of the times, but that's.
Wow.
Dude, I would challenge you to say Pigeon Man, and he would flinch at you and knock you out.
Oh, he wouldn't have to flinch.
Like, he would just kind of flex in your general direction, and Owen would be like, "Oh God."
Oh no, I'm done. Yeah, you weren't wrong. You weren't wrong.
Right.
So what are we going with?
I wouldn't too.
So what are we going with the tag team match then? Because I feel like at this point, like I still don't see Private Party taking it after this. Like
I don't see them taking it either.
No.
So we're across the board that Kenny Hangman retain.
Yeah. Kenny Hangman.
I think Kenny Hangman lose the tag titles to FTR.
That's probably accurate. And that ties into something I wanted to, getting away from Fyter Fest, if that's okay, because I think that's, we've talked about it enough. And we now have these predictions pretty locked in, unless there's another match. I don't think that's.
No, the only thing would be if we wanted to guess as to who Nyla Rose's opponent would be.
Yeah. We all went for Nyla Rose as just winning, and I feel like it's probably a jobber match, but that's still going with
maybe it could be, but it could be
it's like a jobber match, or they bring back what's her name?
Kong?
Yeah.
I
don't think they bring that. I think they bring in a bigger name from like maybe somebody who's wrestling sort of independent.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
I think whatever it is a squash match.
I kind of think it's a squash match. If I see Penelope Ford come out, though, then I would change
I
my
think
mind.
it'll-
But
I
yeah,
think it'll be a debut. I think it'll be somebody new.
right. It's gonna be
And
that
magician
shit or somebody like that. Remember that magician chick that got killed like the other week?
Yeah.
It's gonna be someone dumb like that.
But maybe it's
Maybe it's the auto mod.
Maybe it could be auto mod.
I haven't said anything inappropriate in the chat today, so I haven't been auto mod.
You haven't awoken the beast, my friend.
I haven't.
Yeah.
Well, no, I'm trying to stay out of it.
No,
Tessa Blanchard, I'm surprised that didn't get auto modded. Or Thunder Rosa to go with Deuces.
Yeah.
He's Anna J, I think is. So Thunder Rosa is a name I've heard thrown around. Diana Perrazzo is
Ooh,
is an independent who's been showing up in
Just
Impact.
Let
So I
Go.
mean, there's names, there's things that could happen. I mean, I think that if they're teasing it and hyping it up this much, it'll be a decent name and it'll by default be a decent match.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Let me hit the chat room with a few things here. Not necessarily the chat, but our group, our Facebook group. We ask our questions every week just to see what you guys want to discuss. We had quite a few, and thankfully they weren't all from Kyle Deuce this week.
What?
They weren't
I
all
refuse
from
to
him.
believe that, sir.
I know. He still
I
had
like every time I see anything, I got the Scatman song. I'm like, he's the fact man. He's the fact man, because he's always spitting facts.
He is.
I fucking love it though.
Hashtag facts. That's Kyle
Yeah,
Deuce's
he
thing.
fucking throws shit ton of content, and it fucking keeps me entertained when I literally have like 1.5 to 2 minutes in between calls and shit at work and like things like that.
Oh,
I
look
fucking
at that.
literally like open my phone and like go to Facebook, and it's like he's throwing something fucking funny up that's at the top of my fucking feed.
He likes the group. He's a good brother with us, my friend. He's a good brother. And he asked the question, with Fyter Fest wrapping up tomorrow and Fight for the Fallen in 2 weeks, then All Out at the end of August, is this too many pay-per-views too close together? Which I think is a really valid question, actually.
I think it's sorry, Duncan, you can go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
For you.
So sorry. Oh, so sorry. For me, what I was going to say is because they're not traditional pay-per-views, they're just like hyped episodes of Dynamite.
The equivalent of what we consider, I think, almost the WWE Network special. in that realm, right? Like in that world.
What's the third one though?
All Out at the end of August.
Yeah,
All
that's
Out
pay-per-view.
At the end of August.
That's
a
pay-per-view. That's pay-per-view for sure.
That'll be a pay-per-view.
Mhm.
But I think the other ones are I think because they're sort of like, yes, they're marketed, it's a pay-per-view, but there's no pay-per-view. It's just a marquee event.
Yeah.
So, and I think in the same way that NXT is doing with the Great American Bash, which is fucking stacked too.
Yeah,
like that card.
we ignore it,
bro.
but we have to talk a little bit about that tonight as well.
We're gonna have to, because we can't just
gloss
not,
over
because
that.
Fuck.
Spoilers and all, by the way. And I've come up with a way that we can do spoilers. I'm going to play music underneath the spoiler time that we're talking about it, so that if you hear it, and you can fast forward, but if there's still a little bit of like jingle jangly music going underneath us talking, then to keep skipping forward. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll
explain it again later.
But I think that because they're marketing it that way, it isn't going to oversaturate. Like, it's just how they did it last year, right?
Sure.
Like Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen was right afterwards, and then All Out was September, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
Because it's what, Labor Day weekend?
Labor Day weekend.
Mhm.
Yep.
Because that's why it's a pain in the ass to find flights to Chicago, for me and Matthew.
Yeah, I wasn't at that one. Damn it.
No, you were not, but you were at Double or Nothing.
Double or
I
Nothing,
was.
the
I was.
first
So
actual
the first
AEW.
AEW event.
That's
so,
right. That's right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's my stance on it.
I thought last year
disagree.
Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen were too close together, even as quote unquote marquee events. I still think they have a little ways to go. I think if they had done, I don't know, the whole fucking Corona thing fucked things up because, we have to think about what you've said, on that they were going to do Fyter Fest in the UK. So that, I think, would have been a pay-per-view, but also they probably could have done a lot more builds with, buy-ins emotionally with the fans and things like that.
Absolutely.
Just because you would have seen the pops and things like that with live crowds. So I think that they've been smart in the way that they've done it. You look at what WWE has done, and they've done forever, which we all grew up with, which is one a month, right? And then we all, even remember, a couple of years ago, it was 2 a month because they had a SmackDown one and they had a Raw one. It was
one, and
every other week or every 2 weeks, it was fucking, it was a pay-per-view, I mean, that was a goddamn shit show. They kindly got their shit together and cleaned that up. So I don't necessarily think it's too much. I think in this time, it feels like a lot. And I think the way that they're having to do it, and to WWE's credit too, the way they're having to do things, it's making pay-per-views not necessarily feel like pay-per-views and not getting the builds to these matches, even though they're doing everything that they should, but you're not getting as much of it as you would as if there were an actual crowd. I don't care if it's wrestlers or friends or family. It's not fucking
it's not the same.
It's not the same as normal fucking civilians
100%,
hacking a thing in and getting that. So it's that's the buy-in. So I would think it does seem like a little
thing was they need to decide on which one is going to be the pay-per-view. It's either Fyter Fest or Fight for the Fallen. One of them can take, and it's probably Fyter Fest. Fight for the Fallen, which was done as a joint venture with, I believe it was CEO.
Wrong.
No.
Fyter Fest was the one that was with CEO Gaming.
My bad.
Yep.
I thought it was Fight for the Fallen. Fight for the Fallen was the one that was the charity,
animals.
And it was the charity event. So I think maybe that one is something that you do on TV, not necessarily I like the other way around. Pick one, do whatever you want to do with it, but pick one because they are too close together in the general landscape of things.
Really?
They are, but also you have to
that one wasn't the charity. The
Fallen?
Yeah,
see,
Fight for the Fallen. Fight for the Fallen was the charity.
But I thought
Fyter
that was
Fest.
But Fyter Fest was the
Fyter
CEO
Fest
one.
Was CEO.
Okay.
That was the one. That was the one where the Young Bucks came out dressed up in Street Fighter gear, right?
Yes, and that was also the one where all of their marketing was based on Fyter Fest.
On the game.
Oh, which makes sense because they just did the Capcom fucking AEW T-shirt that they announced. Deuce threw it up, but then they said that it was there were only 250, I think they were saying on commentary.
Yeah, you got it. 100. Yeah, everybody's agreeing with you.
That makes sense.
Yeah, okay, that does make sense. But again, choose one that is your pay-per-view.
That
choose
is your
one
pay-per-view.
To be a specialized event on TV, whatever it needs to be.
Also, it's still from the time that Fyter Fest airs, it's still 5 or 6 weeks until All Out.
Right.
So it's not, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel. I think the big mistake was making Fyter Fest a 2-week thing instead of saying, "Hey, TNT, can we get an extra hour and do a 3-show?"
That would have been a 3-hour show on TNT as Fyter Fest.
Pay-per-view.
That would have been. You know what? I think you might be right. That would have probably been better.
I mean, hindsight being dumpster fire, it is.
They probably would have done something like that had they known the Moxley cage match was going to fall through in the way that it did. And
I wonder if the announcement that Taz has tomorrow night doesn't have something to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, realistically, it must. The other question that I do want to get to, because I know all three of us can relate to it on. And again, this one is by Deuce, but it is another great question. What are your thoughts on Retromania Wrestling and it being a good wrestling game alternative, especially with no WWE 2K game this year? and in development of an AEW game being way off. What do you think about it? And I actually responded, of course, to this like instantly because I'm actually, we got to interview the Blue Meanie about this at StarCast last year. So we do have a bit of insight on this. And it looked
I've been watching
really
cool.
And he said Dreamer had a shit ton to do with it.
Dreamer. Yeah, I would love to Matthew, do you mind pulling up the roster, the list of the names? Yeah. Retromania Wrestling to see who's on there still.
I was going to say, have either of you been keeping up with, like, do you follow the Retromania studios on any social media or anything like that?
I do not.
It like, from what we saw originally, like the little sprites and stuff and the stills that we saw from Meanie at StarCast last year, it is night and day. Like, it has come along so far. It looks like the old WrestleFest arcade game.
Fuck yes.
Except with a big ass roster. They found a way to do cage matches. They Matt Cardona and
he's in it.
Brian Hawkins.
Did they pull out a lot of those names? Because I know there was some question when we were talking to Meanie about it. He was a little worried about like certain people being able to get involved, and
so as of May 15th, 2020, they have 16 people. So I don't know if they've changed things. It's the beginning of July, so this was, almost 2 months ago. So,
I feel like there's more on that, but like I know they have like Cardona is a character now, and they have a Major Wrestling Federation arena that's one of the playable arenas now.
Did Colt get to stay in there? Because that was one of my concerns.
So this is the launch roster. Okay,
right.
So obviously they'll be adding people, but Hawk, Animal, Tommy Dreamer, Nick Aldis, Matt Cardona, Brian Myers, Johnny Retro, Colt Cabana.
Johnny Retro being
Johnny Morrison or
John
Morrison.
Yes.
Yeah. The Blue Meanie. Let's see.
Stevie
Hollywood
Richards, Nova. Yeah, so the entire BWO.
Warhorse, Austin Idol, Zach Sabre
Warhorse
Jr.,
rules
Jeff
ass.
Cobb.
In case you don't know, Warhorse rules ass.
And
so anybody who is familiar with Warhorse knows that.
So that's the launch of 16, and it's looking like what, Xbox, PlayStation, Switch.
Yeah, I was like, fuck,
Nintendo
I left
Switch.
my PlayStation in Denver.
Yeah,
so
I
thought they were gonna put it on Steam or something on PC as well, too.
Well,
right?
Okay, so that's probably what that logo that I don't recognize is. It's the Steam logo, the black and white. It looks like a gear inside a white circle.
Steam. That's Steam.
Yeah.
That's Steam. That's what
that would make sense.
Yeah. Which is a great marketing platform. I'm really excited about it. I don't know that that's going to replace any sort of... I'm not a gamer anyway, but I don't know that that's going to replace a WWE 2K game or what have you, like in that sense. But am I excited?
Given how shitty the WWE 2K games have been over the last few years, it's a welcome change.
Not take yourself so seriously.
Duncan left me a
much
PS4.
Like wrestling.
And when he left a couple of years ago, and you left me what, 2K19?
Yeah, I think it was it, or maybe 18.
But regardless, okay, I don't know. I'm not a gamer, but I've been known to fuck up some skate and some Tony Hawk and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day. Regardless, I could not get a handle on this fucking game, dude. I was like working through the fucking like just joining NXT and like going through the story mode. And dude, I got pissed after like 2 hours. I was like, I'm never playing this again. And then I would like kind of pick it up like once, like maybe every 2 months and be like, all right, I'm gonna fucking try this again. And I was like, yeah, no, it's not happening. I was like, I'm pushing buttons and nothing's happening. I'm fucking losing. And then I realized it's taken, and I don't know.
I realized I was using the wrong controller, the one that wasn't on. Like,
well, no, I realized that fucking it takes longer for games to goddamn load nowadays
and download the patches.
Once you actually like lose a match or something, it takes longer to fucking like reload to get to the start to like I was just
redo the match.
I'm just ready to go. I'm ready to go, and then I'm like. I was getting so goddamn impatient. I couldn't do it. So,
and that's why
your PS4.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I can't believe I left it there. But I think that for that reason alone, a more sort of like just generic wrestling game
which
that you don't have to
as much RAM and you
don't have to do a whole
thought or just like have to know all the fucking combos or whatever.
Well, and it's not even combos. It's just like there's so many buttons on all the new controllers now that like, and the WWE games, you try and do so much that does end up being like you got to do like this and this and this and like hit this at the right time, and it's fucking stupid. But I was looking at the Switch controllers for it. Looks fairly self-intuitive, right?
It's like almost like an NES or Super NES controller.
Kind of.
Right?
They have the
my roommate got a fucking Emelina. Yeah, she got a fucking Switch during this whole thing. Yeah, it looks fucking fun, man.
Dude, it does. One of the guys at the job that I used to have would sit backstage during show and play his Nintendo Switch until he had to go do cues.
It seems like a great time killer. Great time killer.
Dude, great time. And they like just the games are on little cards and you just slide them in and
nice and easy to lose.
Yeah. Well, yes, if you're you. So I think most normal people probably have like a binder that they keep.
Whatever. You put them in your sock, right? You put them in your bandana, and then
that's what you do. You gig with them. That's what you do.
Yeah.
You use them. You gig with them. We're being asked in the chat, favorite retro wrestling game, WWF No Mercy, and I mean it's pretty much.
Oh wow! Like that's across the board for everyone. That's an easy slap.
Yeah.
I had one on
that's a dead
PS1.
PS what?
One?
Was it 1 or 2? Was it the SmackDown?
What?
Which one was it?
Wasn't there like a badass SmackDown game?
I felt like it was. It wasn't good. Everything about it. It was one of the first games you had create a wrestler.
One game that I fucked up everyone as Stone Cold.
Was it
back in the day?
Was it? I don't know what the hell it was. I think it was. Was it THQ? It was before they switched over. I felt like it was a THQ game that was WWE, and it had create a character, and it was buggy as all fuck, but it was so fun.
But you had create a character as far back as No Mercy.
So yeah, I mean, I think it was after. No Mercy it was after No Mercy.
So what? Maybe it was what was it? Warzone or WrestleMania 2000?
No, it was Warzone. It was 100% Warzone. It was
because
Warzone.
I know they also did a couple of like console specific ones when the PS2 and the Xbox came out.
I'm almost
so
100%
like they had
with that.
Raw for the Xbox, and then they had they had WrestleMania for GameCube. And
no, I feel like it was.
You're talking. Okay, so
was
I
it
just
Raw for
Googled,
the PlayStation?
I googled a bunch of this shit. So 28 WWE games, best and worst wrestling games ever. I think you are talking about. Wait, hold on, dude. All these like gaming websites have so many goddamn ads that like
they're the worst.
They're the absolute worst.
Most of the wrestling websites aren't much better though.
Yeah,
let's be honest.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
What culture is the worst?
Oh man, so actually this one almost looks like fucking.
I think my computer died when I went to Sportskeeda or something.
But so exactly.
Am I thinking
that's
of
the
Raw
shit that happens.
Maybe.
So WWF Warzone PS1 1998.
That's it.
Maybe the one that you're talking about.
That's totally it. PS1 Warzone.
Instead of that more accurate, more nuanced wrestling sim that most of us craved, we unfortunately got this instead. Barely a wrestling game of any description.
Yeah, no one else likes it but me.
Yeah,
I'm the only one that likes it.
Looked like Sentinel painted blanks of wood locked in epic struggle to hump each other into submission.
That happens to me a lot.
This is kind of how they stood, right? Like
yes.
If you were RVD, he had the chops, and then like if it was a brawler, he'd be in the fists. Like everybody had a little bit, but they all kind of gyrated like that.
But I could beat it, Duncan. It was the only game I could beat, so therefore I liked it.
So my jams were fucking Attitude for PS1, WWF games Attitude for PS1 99, and then because I'm looking at the screenshot, that was the one that I fucked everybody up in with Stone Cold.
Yeah.
And then SmackDown in 2000 for PS1.
Yes. Did either of you ever have either the ECW
Yes.
wrestling game? So the ECW
yes.
game, I
Nah,
had it for
never.
the Dreamcast.
What?
Yes,
Yeah.
I actually had it for Dreamcast too.
Look
Dude,
at
And
you.
I got it
Dreamcast-
from my friend Tony Conavelli, and like I may have stolen it from him.
I mean, whatever. Possession is 9/10 of the law. And that
And
was
his
like
name was
20
Tony
years ago.
Conavelli, by the way. Like, whoever,
Yeah.
that's not.
Yeah, not
just
Tony
gloss
Khan.
over that.
But it also like, yeah, that game was awesome. And then there were also
The fuck
There
was
were
WWE
two-
Crush Hour about? In
that was the
2003?
racing game.
Yeah, you're like
Racing monster
Oh,
truck
I
game. It's
remember
dumb.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
why though?
Exactly. Why
Because
though?
it's the big
What
show,
about? Did
It's a
you
big bad
guys
show
play?
tonight.
Did you play the backyard wrestling games?
I didn't.
No.
I did
So
some
there were-
backyard
It wasn't
wrestling
cool.
in my time when I was
I think
younger.
we all
Not like
did.
the extreme shit. I mean,
So
I went
there
through
were-
a table once, but
There were two
Trampoline
backyard
wrestling.
wrestling games. It was yes, of course, trash wrestling.
Trampoline
But it
wrestling.
was-
Trampoline.
Oh, trampoline wrestling.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
the Omega, the fucking
Did a lot of
Hardy
trampoline
Boys
wrestling when I was a
early
kid.
started.
Mhm.
yeah,
but
I went off a trampoline into the table.
Well, yeah,
Fucked my
'cause
leg up
Matthew ain't
so
no
bad
bitch.
with a screw. It looked like
Yep.
a Nike check, like bleeding so much. I went upstairs and then instead of pouring like peroxide I like poured rubbing alcohol in it because I didn't want my parents to find out. Fucking screaming.
Screamed.
Like, yeah, my
Yep.
sister was like holding it down. I was like, thought I tombstone pile drived you.
The backyard wrestling games actually were a crossover with ICP before Juggalo Championship Wrestling was a thing.
No kidding.
Oh,
Yeah,
Owen's favorite
and so like they had Owen's favorite thing. Owen's grown on the Juggalos.
Dude,
so
I'm
he's
I'm
pro
okay
Juggalo.
with it.
Yeah.
I'm pro Juggalo
surprised
now.
he's
I'm
not
alright.
wearing the face paint.
You wait. It's a
It
couple.
throws off
I'm getting there.
it throws off the facial recognition for sure. But like so some of them were like matches in backyards with a ring, but you could jump up on the roof and like hit people with rakes and lawnmowers and shit. And they had a bunch of different characters that if you look back now, you're like, oh fuck, those are like really well known independent
That's
backyard
cool.
wrestlers from back in the day. Yeah, like Matt Cross was on the back there as
Right.
M Dog 20. I think Madman Pondo and a couple of other ones. It's just like, wow, that shit was back in 2001,
And they were.
2002.
That's ahead of its time. Definitely.
It
seems
really
like.
was. It really was. And real quick, wrestling, the best wrestling video game ever, Def Jam Vendetta.
See, I don't have any clue with that. I don't have.
Dude,
I know
Matthew,
what
do
you're
you know what?
talking about? I know what the fuck you're talking about.
Dude, so it is obnoxious wrestling, like obnoxious arcade style wrestling with rappers. Like Method Man and Redman
Yeah.
and Joe Budden and
Yep.
like dude, and that game,
It was
Def Jam
fucking
Vendetta
awesome.
and Fight for New York.
What
were
system is
so-
this?
Those were on. I know I had those on GameCube, and dude,
Oh.
like they were so good for being as like. I think they like if you played them now, you'd be like, "This is the most amazing shit that I've
Dude,
played."
I constantly think that about a lot of stuff. Like, why? Like, we missed out like on realizing how good some of this stuff was back in its day.
We didn't know. We
If-
didn't know. We
dude,
took it for granted.
We
Now it's
did.
gone.
We did. I'll say if we find or figure out how to get a hold of some of these old wrestling games, we should totally play them, or like one of us or all of us or whatever we can do, but we should totally play them on this Twitch stream because I've even
that'd be
because
awesome.
I've even
I
got
will do that in a heartbeat.
because I bought the little the adapter that takes
The
like the
interfacey thing?
the RCA to go into, well, even that, like, it has a couple adapters, but even just the RCA to HDMI,
to USB to USB-C.
yeah. We all know.
Right.
It's,
Owen has a
Obviously.
bunch of dongles. We get it.
I got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get
Jesus
it.
Christ.
All right, fine,
Um,
fine.
But honestly, like
You
for
should do
real,
that, though.
at this point,
No, we
like
should do it,
I
though.
would buy an old GameCube, and get Def Jam Vendetta and Fight for New York and some of the old wrestling games.
It's probably
and
hard to
fucking
find, right?
Sometimes yes, sometimes
Yeah.
no, dude. They're like so easy to. I'm
Here,
sure
you can get a GameCube.
this guy.
Yeah, he's looking it up.
You need a GameCube?
I can get a refurbished GameCube for $89.99.
Look at that. That's pretty good. It's not too
$89.99.
terrible.
Fucking
And
delivered
that probably
2 to 3 days.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude,
Like,
if I order it from this sketchy website, I can get the. Oh wait, no. Fucking eBay, not even sketchy. $44.95.
this is what I'm saying. Like, you can find GameCubes for hella cheap, and I bet I could. It's going to be more expensive for me to find the games than the system.
Yeah, it's probably going to be as much to find that game as it is the whole thing. You're
Yes.
probably not wrong.
And I'm willing. Or
Yeah,
if
we'll get
anybody
there.
out there is listening,
Yeah, donate
you can
that.
fucking hop into our Facebook group, facebook.com/OhNo Wrestling.
That's
right?
Close enough.
I don't
Facebook.com/group/OhNo Wrestling.
Okay,
just look,
fine.
just
I'm not on Facebook. I don't
just
know.
search for OhNo Wrestling on everything. You'll find our group.
You will.
And eventually you'll get Duncan that'll like probably not on Facebook, but somehow, some way
Not
you'll
on
get
Facebook.
you will get a message from Duncan like somehow soliciting all of his merch he wants to sell. And hey,
I have a lot of it.
Yeah.
If you are a size extra large in wrestling shirts,
You might
would
wanna talk
highly
to 'em.
recommend
you might want to
that
talk
you
to him.
you holla. You can
Holla at the group. We'll make
Holla at
sure
the
it
group.
works.
or at OhNo Wrestling on Twitter.
There you go.
I'm managing that, so you can throw that shit out there too. We're at OhNo Wrestling on Instagram as well. We're at OhNo Wrestling on all the
Pretty
things,
much
to be fair.
everything. Yeah, just look for it.
Yeah.
Our friend Jordan Meeks, who we haven't heard from in a little bit, asks that we talk about, and I think this is a good transitional story, the abomination of the U.S. title redesign.
That thing looks like shit.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
Why did they do that?
Nah,
It's like when they upgraded the Cadillac logo. It's kind of what it looks like. It's like that whole like weird on the center indentation and like coming down, and the way that fucking I guess eagle or owl or fucking
it
Nighthawk
looks
or
kind
whatever
of
the fuck
owlish. It does look owlish.
It does. It looks like it. Like when you look at it from the front, it looks like there's two big eyes, and I love owls.
or tits. Like it's owl eyes, big eyes, or kind of titties. Like
It's a hooter belt.
Yeah, there's something not wrong. There's something not right about it. Also, the fact that it's just like champion right across the front. Not a big fan of that. Also, the shape is a little odd.
Yeah.
I think quite frankly, if they were going to redesign it, they should have gone back to one of the old, almost like WCW designs or something.
Oh my God.
But
no, it's not. Like, why? Why are you going to go back to the old WCW designs? They're trying to get away from what was.
Yeah, and
like this is why WWE doesn't do anything, right? Like this is why redesign the belt. Okay, here you go. We hate it, dude. So like I think the only thing that it's missing, the only thing in my opinion that it's missing, the stars up at the top need to have blue behind them. Otherwise, I think it's fine looking belt.
Nah,
I hated it at first. I don't hate it anymore. I've looked at
got
some
no
good
class.
pictures of it,
It's
and
got
that's
no
fine. I don't
class.
care.
I think it looks like where it says United States Champion, it's like the World Series font. So it looks like they stole it from MLB.
Yeah.
And it does look like fucking giant eyes. Like
I hear what you're saying, and I just like it doesn't bother me that much. Like it really doesn't. Like
if it was another belt, it would probably bother me a lot more.
I mean, like I've had other conversations that are just like, well, and it's the same thing. I wish they'd go back to the classic look. It's just like, but they're not gonna.
Yeah.
Like they're not going back to the classic looks. Like, yeah, the new IC title took some time to get used to. I don't hate it either.
I still hate it.
Like and that's fine, but I don't hate it. I hate the Universal title. I hate the World Heavyweight title. I think they're boring as shit. I would like to see both of those be revamped so they look like different belts for different brands.
That'd be cool. Yeah, that'd be good.
But I mean, otherwise, it's just, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't, the belt that bothers me the most is the TNT Championship right now.
Sure.
Like, that's the belt that I
they
think
haven't
looks the
finished it.
shittiest. Still,
they haven't finished it, and I think I made this point earlier in our group that I think they're waiting to and Cody's even hinted at this in some of the interviews and what have you, that he's okay with keeping the unfinished belt. And I think what they're gonna do is they're gonna keep it that belt until they have a pay-per-view audience, and it's almost like, look, we finally we're back, we're fine, because the whole reason that the belt wasn't gold plated in the way that they wanted it to begin with anyway, and the excuse, of course, was because of COVID-19. So if now they come back with like, hey, it's our first audience.
Yeah, like, they'll do it at the Dynamite.
They'll do it like that, because now we're back, all right, and it'll be a new looking, sexy looking belt, and it still won't be that great because it does kind of look shitty, but they probably have the other belt.
But I will say the shittiest. I will disagree with Duncan and say the shittiest looking belt is the 24/7 championship belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
All right. I mean, yeah, the TNT championship, if you put those two together, you have the Christmas belts.
Very true.
More or less, yeah.
Very true. Like, you have a red one and a green one, and they're both kind of trashy, and they both shouldn't, you know what I mean?
They shouldn't exist, yeah.
They shouldn't exist. So I'll give them that. And yes, I will agree with you there.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'll meet you right there in the middle, good brother.
Boom.
I'm also super happy, though, that someone has made the website who has the 247belt.com.
Really?
Yeah.
That's good.
And all it is, it's just like, is Abe Vigoda alive? Remember that site? Like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. It's basically who has the 24/7 belt, and R-Truth. Like, yeah, you just all you gotta do is click on it and it'll show you who's the 24/7 championship.
That's awesome. Oh, I can sign up for
can you sign up for updates?
Yeah, I need updates.
Yeah, you just never know when you
Yeah,
I might win it one day. And you might not even know.
Dude, if I see R-Truth, I'm pinning that motherfucker.
Dude, no kidding,
he will
right?
beat my ass.
Didn't Mike Rome win it? If Mike Rome
is on the list. Mike Rome is on the list.
True.
Haven't heard a lot from him lately. Wink, wink.
Interesting.
Not gonna talk a lot about that one since he got tattooed during COVID and got yelled at
by Vince.
That's what
we didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that, did I? I didn't say that. Talking about, we were mentioning the U.S. title. We should talk a little bit about Monday Night Raw, because there surprisingly were one or two things worth talking about. One of them we already have mentioned with that U.S. title, but the other thing is just how confusing is Heath Slater opening the show, and a guy that's just been fired by WWE showing up.
Well, and in his promo saying, like, you think I have these 20 kids that I talk about. In reality, I have 2 kids and I don't have a job, and which almost makes me feel like I'm getting fucking Drake Maverick, which makes me feel like WWE is using this as a
Are they doing it again?
To bring people. We knew that they were going to probably bring some people back. It's just I don't know. And
I don't know that I thought that way.
But I think that there was possibility that he is signing with Impact or something like that.
He's going to Impact. Yeah. He's going to Impact.
And I know his contract's not his contract's up, but and he's been fired, but the non-compete is there, so they can use him. But what is the repercussion if you say no?
If you say no, to WWE?
If you say no to WWE, there's nothing.
So then
because
why not do it? I guess
still gets eyes on him. It gets people talking about him like we are right now.
Yeah.
It's gotten the rest of the wrestling press asking him about it, and he said that it was a good close to that chapter. It gave him he went on. It was today or earlier that he said that it was he felt like it was a good. A good closure for him for that chapter before the next chapter opens. So, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do obviously with the whole Drew having the belt and the whole 3MB tie-in and all that. And they're just trying to make Ziggler look like more of a prick with it. So It's So
I'm
I
not
get it.
bought in on any of this feud. Also, by the way, I will say.
What,
Why-
Ziggler,
why
McIntyre?
would we?
Yeah, why?
Why would we be? Like, it's a filler feud. They're trying to keep doing filler feuds until they have an audience.
Yeah.
Well, remember
And
when they had that like
Say more T-shirt is fucking horrible.
Well, remember when
Yes.
Dolph Ziggler and Drew McIntyre were like buddies with and Shane McMahon's goons for like a month? Like,
Yep.
was it like
Yeah.
that's the reason for the feud? I guess. Like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm
Whatever.
I still am bored with you, fucking Ziggler. Sorry,
Right.
I'm still
So,
bored
I
with
mean,
you.
Heath, I'm glad that Heath came out. I'm glad that he cut a really good promo.
He did. He did.
He looked good
like-
too.
Yeah,
he did. He
Teresa
looked
initially went like,
He looked
"Oh, is
fucking
he fat?"
swole, dude.
Well,
Yeah,
Teresa's
I was
like,
like,
"Is he
he-
fat?" And then he took his shirt off. I'm like, "No, I think because I'm friends with him on Instagram. You know how that works." And I've been seeing him work out. I'm like, no, I think he's actually probably just like
Yeah, you've been seeing him.
jacked up. Like
Yeah, he is.
he's been muscle man dancing without his sleeves on a little bit. You
Getting
know,
ready for that impact.
Getting ready for
Exactly.
that Rhino Impact tag team.
Slammiversary.
Yeah. With the Good Brothers.
Mhm.
Which is awesome. So like I was thinking about this earlier. So we actually have so much good wrestling to look forward to here.
Yeah,
So
we
we have
do.
Fyter Fest Night 2, right?
Mhm.
Coming up. Then we have
Great American Bash.
Yep.
Great American
Night
Bash,
2.
which let's talk about in a second if
Please, yeah,
if
we
we
just
should-
you just
if
gotta
you
let me
guys
know
want
so I
to.
can play some music under it so people don't
Okay,
get
I
the
think maybe we should do
spoilers.
that here in a second.
Yeah.
I will say that I did write in my notes here because we do have on the the 18th,
Mm-hmm.
which is also Slammiversary,
Right.
Countdown to
then we
Fucktown, baby.
And then we also have Extreme Rules, which has changed the name now for the third time. It was Extreme Rules, then it was Extreme Rules something the horror
Horror
show. Now
show.
it's the
Horror
horror
show.
show at Extreme Rules.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck is up with that?
Stop it.
Just stop.
I don't know.
And of course,
It's also
SummerSlam
not
got
Halloween
moved.
or anything. Like there's
Yeah.
no like ghoulish.
First of all, it is always Halloween, Matthew. We know this.
I know Lil Wayne said it. I'm a fucking monster. Every day is Halloween.
That's it.
Yeah.
But also, it's fucking. So we've got 2 pay-per-views coming up on the 18th.
18th. We got Fyter Fest. We got Great American Bash. We got a lot of good wrestling to look forward to.
Yeah.
We haven't even delved into New Japan because none of us have the time.
No, man. I mean, and I know that there's
Dude,
a
I
ton
wish
going
I
on.
did.
There's,
I do
There's
too.
been a whole tournament, right? That's just been going
Yeah.
on lately.
They're bringing
Yeah.
fans back. I think soon. I
Yeah.
saw a tweet that they sent out, so they're bringing fans back in limited capacity soon as well. So
If you don't mind, I want to just like hop back in time just a little bit because there was a topic that I kind of wanted to like touch on just a little bit, and we were talking about like Fight for the Fallen, and maybe like we were talking about pay-per-views and the oversaturation maybe with AEW and how they do it. And even if one of the things that I didn't get to bring up that I wanted to was that I feel like one of the two, and probably Fight for the Fallen would be perfect for this as a pay-per-view, is you make it a tournament style pay-per-view so that it's kind of got a
like
little
their
bit of
answer to King of the Ring.
a King of the Ring type feel, something that has some relevance that can separate it, make it a little bit different
Mhm.
than one pay-per-view over the other, and at least like have like some like change. Whether I don't know if you make it for, I mean, fuck, you could make it for MJF's Diamond Ring if you wanted to, if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
but was the ring an AEW thing? Was that Cody's Ring of Honor ring? Like, I can't remember what the fuck the deal with the ring was. It's been so long.
I think the ring is an AEW thing. It might have stemmed from something else, but I'm pretty sure
'Cause
MJF's
I know
ring has
Cody had,
AEW
like,
written on it, right?
when Cody was the Ring of Honor champion, he made
Didn't
them.
he kiss his?
Yeah,
Cody
that was
used
his.
to,
Oh,
like,
is
yeah,
it that
Cody-
ring? Is it supposed to
I
be
think
that?
No,
so.
it's not the AEW ring. That was a new thing because the one MJF has is strictly for AEW.
Okay.
Okay.
They did the whole
That's what I
tournament
thought.
for that.
Yeah.
But I
So
wonder
they did
if
the
it's
tournament
in,
for it.
like homage, or if I want to be fancy, I'll say homage. You know, like in that sort of sense. Because do you remember Cody like doing the?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It was when he left WWE and he became Ring of Honor champion. He made them make a Ring of Honor for him.
Yeah.
As champ, because he was that real.
I do
cocky
remember
prick
that,
heel.
but is the MJF ring supposed to be that ring, or
No.
I guess just an
No,
homage?
it's an AEW.
It's an AEW thing.
I think it's
so. What I was saying, Matthew, is you could make that like Fight for the Fallen. You could make it into like a King of the Ring tournament, and have it be for the ring.
But that's not fair to. But I think that they wouldn't do that because like the ring is now MJF's thing. It would have to be a new.
It would be a
gimmick.
new gimmick. Sure.
Yeah.
I think you could still do that. I still like the idea of separating the Fyter Fest from Fight for the Fallen in the sense that you could make one a tournament style show and the other a regular style
especially
pay-per-view.
with them being so close together. Like, I think that's a good idea, is to separate them by doing like a tournament style or something like that. You know, if you're going to do 2 nights of Fyter Fest and then you're going to bring in Fight for the Fallen, it seems like a good idea to, I don't know, mix up the card, like make sure that there is something different about the event, as opposed to trying to bring, especially if you're doing it the way that they're doing it now, which is bringing viewers into TNT, as opposed to, I mean, I guess we talked about they did it as non-pay-per-view, but you had to do it on Fight TV or something last year. So it's like, now that it's on a broader audience, it's like, now show them something different. So they got 2 weeks of Fyter Fest, right? Which is kind of semi pay-per-view level, right? Of what they're doing. Now switch it up, do a tournament style. Do a tournament style. Maybe even have a tournament style where you have wrestlers wrestle twice in a night.
See, or something like that. Yeah, that's what needs to happen. I think you need to have something like that, just to separate, like, you know, the 2 events. And you can do like, you know, you could do Fyter Fest and have a 2-night affair of a tournament too. Like, you could do it that way, and that would work just as well. And then have Fight for the Fallen like a week or 2 later. That's the real pay-per-view. I'm not sure what works best, but it feels to me like,
I think if anything, now is the time to try. Now is the time to try things like that.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, if anything, you're gonna get a pass during this COVID era. Like, if you fuck something up, like, I feel like when it comes to programming, you know, like, if you're going to try, it's the same way when they tried with Money in the Bank. Like, I didn't like it, but they fucking tried something different. It was fucking horrible. It was slapstick. It was stupid. But they fucking tried something. You know what? Like, they didn't have anything else to do. And I think, like, at least as a wrestling fan, for me, that's what I think is, like, I want to see them trying to, and I'm not going to say pushing the boundary, because they have not pushed that boundary, especially with the Money in the Bank. But I will say, try something different. I think they definitely did it at Mania with the Boneyard match. I think they definitely did it with the fucking Firefly Funhouse fee match. I thought that was fucking. I just rewatched that.
Well, let's just hope they can do that again.
And just went through it again and was like, dude, that was fucking kind of brilliant. The way that happened, the way that Vince even let that happen, I'm surprised at. So I think that AEW doing something, or NXT or WWE, or someone trying something different. I think, again, we talked about it last week, like when we were talking about the competition and like the going head to head, like, you want that competition. It makes you strive to be better. I think the circumstances everyone is under is, maybe to an extent, maybe they're not actually getting to TV, but forcing people to be a little more creative when it comes to not necessarily booking, but like shooting matches or things like that. And I think, and I feel like if there weren't these people at the higher level who were like knocking it off and shutting it down, I feel like we might see a little bit more fucking freestyling in this and really seeing what works
just
and maybe
letting
see some real
creativity
cool
fly
shit
through.
come out of it.
The unfortunate thing is they don't have the instant reaction of the crowds to fall off. So they, like, in their own heads, they don't know whether or not these reactions are working. And that's a really dangerous thing, you know, because now they get in their own heads. Now they're looking at social media. What are the likes? Is this thing clicking off, or is this thing like getting over? And it's really tough for them to tell what's working and what isn't. So
it's really tough, but the people in the entertainment industry, like yourself and like Duncan, like you guys who are working in and out, like not like on screen in front of the crowd doing this, or not the ones calling the shot, could have amazing fucking ideas that could propel something forward.
Well, of course
and
we have amazing fucking ideas.
Well,
we do this show. We cut off sleeves from our shirts. This is the most amazing idea that exists.
You know what? I didn't get the fucking memo. First of all,
yeah. Well, you just sign up, bro.
I'm sorry. I thought me shaming Owen last week
was the memo. That was the memo. That was my memo. That was my memo.
We're all shirtless all the time here at OhNo.
Yeah, but I am gonna say that I think that it's one of those things, and it's like something that I always tried to do as like in any job that I've been in, where I've been a manager, department head, or director, or anything like that. It's like I'm only as good as like the people who like I work with. And like, because like I wouldn't be where I am. I wouldn't be where I am without them. So like, if I don't like, they're the ones doing the grunt work day to day. Like I may have done that shit every single day of like for like 2-3 years to get to the point where I was at, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. But I don't do that anymore. So now I'm not the expert. I need to rely on the people that I hired to be the experts.
You're only as good as your worst person, right?
Exactly. So I need to listen to their ideas, and I wonder if there is that happening or going around in wrestling, that you know there are ideas that are being squashed that are really brilliant ideas.
I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. But I'm also sure that some of those really brilliant ideas are brilliant in 2 or 3 years. Maybe not brilliant now, in the same way that like the broken Matt Hardy thing, right? Like that's a gimmick that worked and still does, but like really worked in that time a few years ago when wrestling was sort of like,
and then didn't work for a while and works again now in a different context as well.
Well, they never let it work in WWE.
Exactly.
He never got to be. He was woke in Matt Hardy for like a week, right? Like,
exactly.
And he just randomly showed up, and that was stupid and bullshit. So, because that could have gotten over and stayed over. But I don't think WWE at that time, even though they did the stupid House of Horrors match with the cockroaches on the fucking ring and the, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, the absolute ridiculous garbage that they did of that. I think that the problem that you run into is that some of these ideas are ahead of their time. The House of Horrors match, right? Like the one with Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. Fucking shit the bed. However, you do something like that now, they're going to be able to do it in a different way, tell a better story, use, you know what I mean? Like they have a little bit more.
They've got more experience with it.
That makes complete sense. I wonder if they also put more resources to it now than they did then.
Yeah.
Because of circumstances.
Even some of those resources aren't necessarily in production. They're in writing. They're in letting these guys tell a tale. If they can understand that it takes like this thing that Bray probably had to take, like you would think, like that's got to take that. He didn't write that in a night or two, which you can write a match on the fly. Like you can write, I mean, I'm sure they're not like, they're always thinking about a match, but Bray's like if with a cinematic vision of a match, he's got to have a bit of time, one would imagine, to sit down and construct how that's going to work, how that thing is going to play out, the story of that match. I feel like that maybe they're a little bit more open to giving them a little bit more time to, hey, like, paid to do this and scout things out or have a little more input in the final product, or
in the same way that, like, you remember the New Day Wyatt sort of cinematic thing, right? Like they had that New Day battle. Yeah, of course it was awful. But I think you give something like that, like now, right? Like in 2020, given the state of where cinematic wrestling has shown that it can be, I think that there's a lot of potential for more matches like that.
Do you think people like it more or give it more credit? Do you think the audience in general, is more open to it because of the Boneyard and Funyard, and because I think so. I think those are.
But we all went into the fucking Velveteen Dream match thinking it was gonna be fucking good, and it was horrible.
Yeah,
that is true.
In your house,
that is.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's
hit or miss. I think it's really hit or miss on how they actually do it.
Yep, and not every one of them is going to be good. And also, like when you talk about Bray working on the match, I don't think that that's Bray doing everything on his own, unfortunately. Like, I think that he is going to have...
But he's going to have a little more input than he did last time because the last one was a success. That's all I'm trying to say.
Absolutely. But he's also got Pritchard fully involved now in the head of creative spot.
And Braun to figure out. Because you got to figure out the Braun factor there.
Yeah, because Braun is shit.
Yep, let's just be real about it. Braun is pretty shit. He is.
Braun is fucking garbage.
Dude, they have literally fucking blown him, and not in a good way.
No, not in the way that he would enjoy.
So many times, over and over and over again. And it all, I think, for me, started with the build-up and then the whole Nicholas thing. That was like the end of a monster. He is now like. But
they had 8 chances to recover from that since. They never did again.
So that's like the litmus test and like watermark for me is that like they fucked it up there. And then they never knew what to do. They didn't know if he was going to be a monster
it up before that,
or a comedy act or you know what I'm saying? Like, you're either going to be flipping over trucks and fucking like smashing on people, or you're going to be like, I don't know, like slipping on fucking banana peels and like, I don't know, teaming with 8-year-olds.
Carrying around Kalisto. Remember that? Or was that Kalisto? I think it was.
I don't know.
But pretty sure it was.
Speaking of Kalisto, which I'm not going to speak of Kalisto, I will say, you guys are you guys really in on this eye for an eye match?
Oh, dude, I'm so in.
Seth Rollins, because I'm still, even once they released this official statement, I'm still very confused as to what this match is. Which is funny because when we were talking about like the Undertaker's series Last Ride and shit like that, like they were like, oh, we're doing a Boneyard match, and then like Triple H asks him and AJ like, what is that? And he's like, they're both
you
like,
figure it out.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
They said the same thing, and they're like, Triple H's like,
I gotta figure out what an eye for an eye match is now.
Yeah, so the official statement is this: the horror show at Extreme Rules added a new level of terror as Rey Mysterio and Seth Rollins will meet in an eye for an eye match. Mysterio teamed with Kevin Owens to defeat Rollins and Murphy for the right to choose the gory stipulation, where a winner can only determined, it should be determined, that's a typo on their part, by extracting the opponent's eye. Have you guys ever seen Demolition Man, where Wesley Snipes takes the eye out fucking at the beginning? Yeah, it freaked me out as a kid. The Monday Night Messiah has tormented the legendary luchador for months and nearly ended Mysterio's career with a gruesome attack on his eye. With his career in jeopardy, the iconic superstar watched as his son, Dominic, who looks like that MMA fighter who left.
Oh, Cain Velasquez.
Yeah, that guy who has like one
a smaller Cain
tattoo,
Velasquez.
but it's really big. Got involved to defend his father's honor, but Dominic found himself in Rollins' sights as well, with Rollins attempting to replicate the same brutal ocular assault on Dominic.
Ocular assault. An ocular assault. Now, to me, that just means like I'm staring at you really hard.
Right?
Like I'm ocularly assaulting you right now. Like,
right. That's like you're really creeping someone out with your looks.
I feel like that's been used as in court for some rapey dude. Like he was ocularly assaulting me.
It's a rape look. Yeah, it's a rape match.
It's a rapey look. That's what it's a rapey look match.
Which is not good in the
or resting bitch face kind of match. Like whoever gets the best resting bitch face wins the match.
All I keep thinking about this whole like eye for an eye, you have to remove your opponent's eye. I'm just like, is this gonna be like that scene in Kill Bill where she fucking like snatches that broad's eye out?
Well, Jordan
it's
Meeks,
either that or fucking Demolition Man with the pick.
Right.
I gotta give it for once to Jordan Meeks in our group because he throws out. If Ray or Rollins secretly has a glass eye that they're legit gonna pop out, I'm all for this. Otherwise, no.
Oh, you know what? I 100% fucking buy in on that.
Yeah.
I'd buy in on that. I'm with you.
I said earlier.
Mysterio could have it hidden.
Yeah.
The mask.
I said earlier, what is this going to lead to? This is going to lead to a blindfold match like they had with Jake the Snake and Rick the Model Martel.
And they're both just doing. I remember that. Wasn't the Snake in the ring at that point? And there was one like that. I feel
the Snake was in the corner, but it wasn't like in the ring.
Oh, my
nightmares
are more dangerous than yours.
Oh God.
Well, I got a million thoughts running through my head. One, also Mysterio, he's now not under contract with WWE?
Yeah, good point.
Correct?
Yeah. Apparently the rumor going around.
So I don't know where or when he will retire, but two, I will say, because you brought up Jake the Snake. You know what I did watch recently this past week instead of watching a classic match?
What you watch, bro?
Beyond the Mat.
It's always good. Yeah. It's good to refresh yourself with Beyond the Mat.
It's been
depress
like over
yourself.
A decade since I watched Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the Mat is depressing. You should then watch the resurrection of Jake the Snake because
you got to follow it up with like
that's a good one. Maybe this week, but I will say that's a good fucking documentary, especially for the time that it came out, like the nostalgia that it brought me back to when I was the age that it came out at. I don't know. It was fucking amazing documentary. And like really went behind. It was like really going behind the kayfabe.
Yeah.
Like when you didn't have all of this social media and the way for wrestlers to be able to play both sides of the coin. You know,
there's a really good in that sort of same vein. There's a really good documentary about ECW. There's one, I think it's called ECW Unauthorized, which you used to be able to find on YouTube, but on Amazon Prime, there's one called Barbed Wire City.
Oh yeah.
Which is an unauthorized ECW documentary. And it's all it's like all fan footage because obviously WWE owns all of the licensed stuff. So it's all stuff from like fan footage.
That stuff terrifies me, dude.
It's not all just like okay, so like let's talk about some of the events that have been going on, like the wrestling that's been happening outside of WWE and AEW. Like GCW, Game Changer Wrestling, have been like, do you know about these guys?
No, not really. I mean, I've seen my fair share of death matches, and I know that I've got to be warned before I see a death match. Like when we were at Double or Nothing. And and that like blood was coming out of fucking Dustin Rhodes' fucking head. I almost
I was trying to tell my girlfriend about that, and I was showing her like pictures, and she's like, no, she's like it's not, and I was like, no, that was real, and I was like,
in person,
we were in an arena, and the entire arena was worried.
Yes.
And then listening, and then
I felt
think
like
he was on Talk as Jericho after that. Where he's like talking and he's like, he was like, yeah, I just cut a little too deep. And he's like, and I could feel the crowd, you know, and he's like, and the ref kept asking, like, can I keep going? And he's like, I knew I could keep going. I would have called it. You know, he's like, I'm a fucking pro, Dustin is. And he would have. But it's one of those things where everyone in the crowd, it was a lot of fucking blood. And I actually have a video on my phone where he's like getting up and it's just like literally not even pouring, it's spurting out of his fucking forehead.
It was hard to watch. Like I said, I felt like, I mean, I remember smelling it. Like it was like you could smell the blood.
You could smell the iron.
Thank you. Like I was trying to find the word for it, but yes, exactly. It was you could smell the iron like from it. Like,
so
that's how you know like this shit's not like ketchup flying through the air.
This isn't. The most recent GCW event was a literal backyard wrestling event.
Right.
Like they had a ring and they had a fucking tree house and they had it like, dude, it was what Joey Janela was there. And it's just like, it's like, wait, weren't we calling this trash bag wrestling like 5 years ago? And now everybody's hype on it. Like, and I'm not saying that there isn't some legit talent in there, but at the same time, when you look at it and it literally looks like it's in my back 40 in Michigan.
Yep.
Right. And I built a ring and like my cousin's fucking tree house. That
all of a sudden it's not such like that. It's like the indie band that hits it off and all the indie bands in an area or like a style to kind of pick it off. And like and start like working with it, and all of a sudden like, wait a minute, we made fun of them 2 years ago, but all of a sudden they're like,
right. And dude, and some of them are really good wrestlers, but it's just like I am not a fan of the death matches either.
Yeah.
Like I don't mind a little bit of color, whatever, like storytelling wise. But yeah, like death matches don't really do it for me either.
Too much for me.
Too much for me, and for this particular show, because we do like we're almost at our like 2 hour mark, boys, and we need to at least hit on a little bit of night 2 and night 1 of the Great American
NXT.
Bash NXT. So I'm sorry to cut you short, but I don't want a 3 hour show. You know, I've only got so much I can deal with here.
But we only have so much time for that.
Exactly. There's 4 matches according to Wikipedia for night 2 of NXT. And we all know, if you've explored the internet in the last couple days and you're a wrestling fan, that there have been spoilers for the final main event. So we'll talk about that very, very last.
Or maybe they weren't spoilers.
Or maybe they weren't, but I don't want to ruin anything that has been like filmed before this.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We don't want to ruin. I don't want to ruin anything
for anybody before it airs.
So you guys might be spoiling it for me.
Well, you can tune out if you would like to as well. But what I'm going to say, and I'll remind the audience again, when it happens, I will be playing music underneath the spoiler, so that if you hear little jangly music or like elevator music while we talk about it, it'll only be quick. But while we talk about it, if you hear any of that music, which we never play underneath anything on this show,
right,
then you know that obviously we're talking about a spoiler, and that will be a thing going forward. That's our spoiler alert. That's like, if there's music playing, don't listen to it if you don't want to get something ruined, and we'll always warn you, of course, beforehand. But that's how I think it's a good way to do it, right? It's
sure.
I think it's a great way to do it. And during that description of how you're going to play that underneath, which I think is amazing, I read the spoiler.
Then just to get caught up, caught up.
Now I'm on your level.
All right, good. Glad that you're on our level. So there was a match announced today, which is really cool. Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Johnny Gargano in a singles match that was added today, right, Duncan?
Yep, that was added today. They had an altercation at the last NXT show. Like Gargano got into his face about something, and that's going to be a really good match. Like a really good match.
If you don't know Swerve, you should get to know Swerve. What the hell was his name before this? Damn it.
Shane Strickland.
Thank you. I knew I was going to forget that. Shane Strickland did a lot of work in MLW here in town. Fucking
from the Pacific Northwest, like did
really
a lot of stuff up there.
Quality wrestler. So I'm glad to see he's getting a shot with NXT. And this is going to be I think this is going to be like a highlight match for him. This is going to be something that Johnny is going to make him look like $1 million. They're both going to make each other look like $1 million, but this is one of those that's also
it's a comeuppance match.
Thank you.
Like when you're wrestling someone like Johnny, like and being able to be put on that level and such. Bring that type. It's a.
They're trying to make him for sure.
They are, and I feel really great about that.
I feel real good about it because Swerve is like, if you don't know,
he's the real deal, man.
He's so good. He's
the
so
real
fucking
deal.
Good.
We have a chance for an interview with him that I hope to capitalize
absolutely.
on.
We have a chance for an interview with a few people. So
yeah, but him included. So next match. Okay, do we want to do predictions? I mean, because I'm gonna go Swerve on that one.
I mean, I would go Swerve on that one too, but I don't think the predictions are gonna count for.
No, it's totally separate. I mean, like, it depends which one ends first.
We don't have. This is just you trying to make sure that you can get some sort of a championship win, and
I'm going Swerve. You said Swerve, Matthew. What you going with?
Swerve.
All right, it's Swerve across the board.
Owen's desperate for a win.
There's only 4 matches. God. There's only 4 matches on this one. You know, we got
desperate for a win.
We got Breezango. I miss Breezango and Drake Maverick versus Elegato del Phasma, Santos Escobar, Joaquin Vilde,
Joaquin Phoenix. Bro, the news, the Joaquin and
pretty sure
whatever,
Phantasma team. It's the Phantasma team is what I'm calling them.
The Phantasmagorics.
Yeah. All right.
So
we're Phantasma across the board there.
Yep. You're not winning the title.
Right. Mia Yim, Candice LeRae in a street fight. Ooh.
It is a very, very good.
That's Mia Yim for me.
It should be Mia Yim. Yeah, exactly. Like, it should be Mia Yim, but if Johnny loses,
then you're going
and Candice wins.
LeRae,
All right. Well, that's at least gives me a chance to win on this one because we all know
to win the title that doesn't exist for this show.
Don't you? This is my 24/7 7-Eleven European Intercontinental.
I'm making a website.
Listen, R-Truth.
Who has the OhNo Wrestling title now?
And it's literally just always Matthew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a picture. It's just
a picture.
One to promote me as a person.
Yeah. You should write a bio underneath it.
Yeah.
You should pretty much anytime you're looking for like matches on Tinder, you just pretty much just point to that. Like,
yeah.
That's all you got to do. Like, cuz I'm sure chicks are into that, you know? You just like, "Hey, I don't need to say anything."
How long has it been since you've known what chicks were into, Owen?
Yeah.
Ever?
Well, also, I'm coming up on like an 8-month anniversary, you know.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I will say every date leading up to that is funny because a good brother in the group, Jay Jansen, asked me like months before. He was like, "When you're dating," he's like, "So when do you like break it to him you're into wrestling?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, like first date." I was like,
first
at the
date,
point.
like
I was
first
like,
thing.
I was like, dude, I'm like 35. I'm at the point where it's like, fucking, here it is, take it or leave it. Like, you deal with it or you don't. Like,
I think it's a respectful thing to do, though, a little bit. Like, just kind of. Like,
I'm into pro wrestling. And
I mean, in the same way as if you're a
dress up as
sports
Orange
nut.
Cassidy and go to a fucking wrestling event with me. You know?
Yeah.
Well,
Look,
and also, I didn't make that person do it.
I was gonna say my wife dressed up as Asuka and went to a wrestling event with me. So
Sue just said when I said I couldn't go to New Year's and Owen and I were supposed to go and we kind of look alike and we kind of look like Orange Cassidy, and then I showed her a bunch of videos. She was like, "Oh, you should totally do that." And she goes, "Should I order it and do it too?" And I was like,
Yeah, she
Yeah.
stole
You're
my
like,
gimmick,
obviously.
bro. She stole my gimmick, which was your gimmick, which is not either of our gimmicks, and I'm still mad about it.
And it was supposed to be our gimmick.
It's our
See,
gimmick.
and the best part is that I just steal Texas gimmick, and it's fine.
It's fine. Whatever. We're all stealing gimmicks. I'm turning
Yeah.
into Joey Janela, by the way, if you haven't noticed.
Well,
look at
I
look
You gotta
mean,
get a
look at
little
this,
fatter.
Look at this right here.
yeah,
you
you should
gotta get a
probably
little
get
fatter.
fatter.
Look.
I know he's trying to pull off the white trash. You can't hear the fact that it's just not as
Yeah.
elegant as he thinks
It
it
looks
is.
like Joe Dirt.
It is a little bit Joe Dirt-ish.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Getting into it
Yeah.
though, because I've got the.
Yeah,
I got
you
it.
should.
Yeah, it's good.
looks
You should-
primo.
oh,
I'm
It's
gonna-
ace, bro.
I'll send you a picture of the sunglasses I've got coming soon. I'm basically, I'm just becoming Florida person.
You're becoming Joe
becoming
Dirt.
a Florida person, like all of
No,
Florida.
you are
like,
you are embracing your inner
Mhm.
Joe Dirt.
Yeah.
Don't try and church it up none, son.
Yeah, it's about the same.
It's happening.
So this is the time that we talk about the spoilers, and we need to do
Is
this
that-
before
oh,
we
yeah.
get out of here. This is where you tune out if you don't want to hear any of it, and if you want to tune back in for the outro, that's fine. But if you hear a little bit of tunes going here, it sound a little bit like this. All right, then you don't.
Spoilers.
Then these are your spoiler tunes.
Spoilers.
Okay.
Talking about spoilers.
So talk about spoilers. Spoilers NXT.
Spoilers.
World Championship. NXT. Keith Lee. Adam Cole. 2 belts.
Baby.
On the line. Who's gonna win them?
Don't look on
Who's gonna
Instagram.
win them? Who's gonna win them? Don't look on your Instagram. You'll ruin the surprise. Don't look on your Instagram. It's coming for your eyes. Keith Lee's the new champion. He's gonna be winning. He's got 2 belts and he's gonna be grinning. Yeah.
Theoretically, I'm not
Nailed
gonna
it.
sing it. I'm not gonna sing it because
Keith Lee's
Not
the
that good.
champion. He's got 2 belts. Fuck you.
Wait, you're playing the music.
allegedly.
Oh,
allegedly.
see, that's the thing. I didn't want to ruin it for everybody.
But you did.
Wait, what are you
But you
talking
did.
about?
Because
No,
you
you
just
still
said
need
it
to-
while the music was playing.
Oh, wait, but that's the point. At least the music was playing, so I'm good. I told him before, like 8 times. If they can't get it, it's on them. They're fucking
It's
idiots.
true.
So yeah, so allegedly there has been, and now there is video and photographic evidence to show what
Mhm.
appears to be
A large
one-
black man standing with
one
2 belts
Keith
in
Lee.
the ring.
yes, with confetti going off
Mhm.
and everywhere all around him. However,
Sorry, I need to keep playing that
No,
because
I
we're
understand.
talking about
however, according to one of the developmental talent from the PC on Twitter, it's just like 2 endings, two storylines, just so maybe but no, it's definitely a spoiler.
I think it is probably too. Of course, they shoot multiple endings and can shoot multiple endings for this type of thing, but you wouldn't shoot that ending without
I also think it's a good ending.
it. I think it's a
for
good
Keith Lee
ending
to
too.
take it.
Yeah,
I think it's
And
time.
it's a great way.
I think it's
a
time.
great way to bring Undisputed Era up.
it's
Yes.
not a good ending for Adam Cole. It's a good ending to a degree and a great beginning for the next step.
Yeah.
And with having, Keith Lee is that guy, and now it's time for him to kind of rule the roost of NXT. You know what I want to weirdly see is Keith Lee and Finn Balor one-on-one for one of those belts.
I'm sure that'll happen.
I'm sure it
See
will
that?
too.
I
But
wanna
I
see
know,
Keith Lee versus Big E.
dude.
That would be beefy.
Ooh,
Yeah,
big beefy slappy
but
boys.
but both of them for big dudes can also fucking
Oh,
move.
they fucking move. Yeah.
You know what
Keith
I'm
Lee
saying?
is
So, like,
Keith Lee is amazing. Big E is a national treasure that must be protected at
Like,
all costs.
yes, that would be a great match. It's not gonna happen anytime soon, but when it happens, I
Yeah.
think that would be an
Absolutely.
amazing match.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to think of other guys like for Keith Lee at the moment. I mean, like the NXT system has so many that are kind of building up there, and they're really hot on I always forget mustache dude, blonde hair mustache dude.
Dexter Loomis.
Loomis, they like him a lot. I'm still not completely sold on him. I go back and forth.
I mean, a lot of the thing about NXT is they'll give their talent enough time to actually try and get over. Like, dude, Velveteen Dream didn't get over right away. Neither did Street Profits.
Man, that's a different conversation, is it not? Because it seems like,
especially nowadays. Yeah.
Right. Is that are we done with Dreams? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, he was
like
on
that
TV.
might be the way.
Been in
Sounds like he's on his way out.
My money is he's on his way out. Like,
Sucks,
that's my
man.
prediction. I think he's done.
Sucks.
Well,
Does-
I mean,
it
does.
You do some shit,
but you
No, I'm just
know
saying.
what I mean? You fuck up.
Well, let's not take it away from Keith Lee
But
and what he can possibly do. Let's not talk
Oh,
about
but that's-
Dream and all that shit. But I'm curious if this is the case that Keith Lee wins the championship and has both championships. How do you run with both of them? Do you defend one? Do you defend both? Like, how does this end up working? That's, I guess, what my question is.
I think the way that they did it, back in the day, right? So when Warrior won the World Heavyweight Championship and the IC Championship from Hogan at WrestleMania 6, they declared the Intercontinental vacant, and then they did a tournament for it. So in my mind, unless you're planning on unifying the two, which you don't need to,
you kind of have to do like he has to relinquish the North American.
He'd relinquish the North American, and do a tournament for it, which is totally fine, because then you can showcase a good amount of your talent over a few weeks.
I didn't think I was gonna like that idea as much, but you sold me on that. I like that, like, because that would work for the current roster as well, and to help build. Like, there is a solid kind of mid card going on within the NXT mid card. Right?
Cameron Grimes.
Exactly. And then you can make a star out of somebody else with that situation to build towards, the NXT championship. Do you think that we're going to see more of, like, main roster? I hate to call it that because it's so different now. Do you think you're going to see more of that coming down? I struggle with that one.
I don't think you're going to see as many coming down. You're going to see, I think
you're going to see more crossover.
Yeah.
Which is what we've been seeing. It's like, what did Sasha call Bailey this week? Like, she's like Bailey 3, I forget the term.
It was Sasha 3 shows.
Yeah, Sasha 3 shows. Yep. That's what it was. Same type of thing. We saw it with Charlotte. We've seen, I think that's what you're going to see is more crossover as opposed to going down.
Yep. Also, I would much rather have Breezango on NXT than not at all, because I love Breezango and they're both 100%. Hella workers.
Are we spoiler free now? Are we spoiler free?
I think so.
Yeah.
Cool.
But the music's great.
Oh yeah, no, don't worry about it. I got you covered for spoiler time. We always got some good jams for spoiler time. I do, like, honestly, I'm more interested still in Fyter Fest than I am NXT, but they did win in the ratings. I don't know that that's important. What I will say, and one of the things I wanted to ask both of you guys before we got out of here, is that not my new favorite, I've always been a fan, but one of my current favorites in Sunny Kiss has been wearing a #DFE shirt. And what's DFE, boys? Because I looked it up and I couldn't, is that it? And what am I missing here? The #DFE.
I don't know what that means.
Sunny Kiss wearing # white shirt, # Hashtag
Yes.
capital DFE. Today, I watched an episode of AEW's Unrestricted podcast with Aubrey Edwards and Tony Schiavone interviewing Brian Cage, and Aubrey Edwards was wearing hashtag DFE. Okay.
No fucking clue, bro.
So I'm not an idiot. All right, good.
No, yeah.
I thought this might be something that I had missed.
It was a delete fucking
I
everything.
thought you were like
not trying to
be
play
shitty with me.
No,
I'm
I'm not trying to play a bit. I'm not trying to be shitty with anyone. I was legitimately asking because I thought it might be something I didn't want to be insensitive about, to be quite honest with you, that like maybe this is a hashtag that I'm unaware of that's involving. I mean, there's so many things going on in this world right now.
100%, it is a hashtag that we are unaware of.
And
we can say that.
I'm on Twitter right now
up.
and I can't figure it out.
Right.
I thought it was delete fucking everything.
That's a good one, and I saw that one too. I went on Urban Dictionary, and Urban Dictionary
Oh God.
told me that it was
dick fuck experiment.
Dance floor erection. Which
that's definitely what that
makes
means.
Makes sense.
Makes
Oh my
sense. You think you're dancing with a hot chick, and it's like Sonny Kiss, who's a dude, or not a dude, but
I'm also now on Urban Dictionary, and another one because I'm reading the one that
is it
short
what
for
I'm
dance
saying?
Floor erection, the unfortunate result that occurs when a guy grinds with a girl on the dance floor. DFI is often hard to hide and is a taboo subject between the guy and the girl. Guy number one. Dude, did you see Trevor at Winter Ball last night? What a bro. Guy number two. Yeah, man. I bet he had some major DFE though. Fucking hate both those people. Guy number 1 and 2.
It's true. It would make sense though because Aubrey Edwards is a dancer. So
yeah.
Dance forever.
Maybe dance forever. Sure. I
don't know.
I feel like
there's another. Urban Dictionary also says dead fish experience.
Yeah, I don't think it's that one. I don't think Sonny Kiss is endorsing that one. If I would guess the dance. One of the dance ones. And
delete fucking everything is the top one.
Oh, delete fucking everything. That actually.
The act of deleting everything on a web page, hard drive, social movement in an attempt to avoid. Anything basically. So delete fucking everything.
Oh, I mean, right now that could obviously be a very political stance that he's trying to make. Like that fits in quite well. I guess I was leaning towards the sexual side, like, just because it's fucking Sonny Kiss.
I like how you said you're like, is that it? I'm like, what is that? What? Like the DFE? Like I don't know, dick free energy. Like I don't know what you.
I'm just trying to figure out what the goddamn hashtag is.
I know, but like
I'm going with delete fucking everything.
Delete fucking everything.
Based on what, because now I'm looking on Twitter, and
I like dance floor erection. I like that I'm maybe dancing.
That's a good name for a band.
Dance floor erection? Hell yeah, that's a great name for a band.
I mean, they'd probably tour with blood on the dance floor and hopefully both die in a bus crash.
Yeah, and
or a tag team.
They would do a tour called "I Can Smell You Dripping" or something. Like that.
It's true, but that's because of the chlamydia.
There's 2 more quick questions before we get out of here. Number 1, what happened to the STL hacker?
Mustafa
Nothing.
Ali is no longer doing anything. I think he's either moved or switched brands, or I think they gave up on that.
Yeah, I guess they just
because I'm pretty sure it's going to be Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, I think we all did.
I don't, but I think that was the low hanging fruit. I think it would have been too easy for it to be Mustafa Ali. I don't know who it would have been. It could still be the return of GTV. So I don't know.
What a shitty thing just to do all of that and drop it.
It's WWE.
Yeah.
What's the last question? The
last question is, do you feel because of AEW's immense tag team division that there would ever possibly be a secondary tag title and or a belt on Dark that's a Dark specific belt.
I would see a
I could
Dark
see a Dark-
specific
yes.
belt. Yeah. I don't see a secondary tag belt. I could see a 6-man belt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. 6-man belt. It's
I
a
agree
really
with all that.
yeah.
Yeah, they do what they kind of do in Japan.
Yeah.
stuff.
And I
they
kinda
do a
and
six-man
Ring of
tag
Honor.
belt, and they do and they could do a just AEW Dark belt.
I like
Same
the
way
name.
they do a TNT belt, which is maybe
Yeah.
the setup for that.
And I think that could actually be kind of cool because the name of the AEW, I'm the AEW Dark Champion, actually has a cool ring to it. Like there's something
you
that they
could
can
maybe,
do
like,
with that.
Make Dark Order a thing.
Yeah, I mean that could be a way to do it as well, and
Finally.
and have that work. I think that's about it. I mean, I do have more because it seems like Shayna Baszler was gonna win the Royal Rumble, and Vince changed his mind on her and everything about her.
My phone's gonna die long before we get through all of the things that we could possibly talk about.
Brian Pillman's going to AEW, it seems, which Brian Pillman Jr. already there.
Yep.
That's kind of cool. And
He'll probably challenge Cody for the TNT Championship the next time he defends it, is my guess.
Yeah. You guys, do you have anything else you want to throw in there? Please, if you want to. This is the time.
Hold on. I don't think I had anything of substantial.
Well, we all bring up the same shit because the same shit happens every week, right? I mean,
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
I was like looking at the video of Asuka hitting Bailey super hard, and then Ric Flair on Cody possibly bringing back a Horseman stable.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about.
We don't have
Horsemen.
time. We don't have time to talk about that.
That's a whole other, I think, episode. We can talk about the possibilities of a new 4 Horsemen like developing, and that would be cool. I will say though that it is probably time that we get out of here. We've done an exceptionally long one. I didn't even pee the whole time. 2 hours, 12 minutes. Be proud of me. Clap, motherfuckers. That's right.
Off clap.
What we will do, though, is we will leave you with a little bit of tunage. We'll tell you that we'll see you next week. Please visit us at OhNoWrestling.com. Please join our Facebook. Everything to do. Well, Twitter. I mean, you're managing that, Duncan, at OhNo Wrestling.
I got the Twitter and the Instagram.
Hit that up, please. And by all means, try and engage with the show by all means necessary. We love you dearly. Thank you for joining us. All things said and done, check out OhNo Media. And we always want to give you one last thing that we say to you. And this time, I think it's something we haven't done in a long time for the good brothers. It's a little bit of how we doing, boys, because it's 2